So hello and welcome to today's Lunch and Learn session. Today, Aga Abbas is joining us to showcase Cin7 inventory management. So let me tell you a bit about Cin7 inventory management. With unique built-in features, extensive integration and workflow automation, Cin7 is the smartest way for growing brands to optimize inventory, manage orders, and maximize cash flow. So I put a lot of information and details in the all the postings, so which you can read there. But I'd like to hand over to Aga to let us know a bit more about Cin7.
Yeah, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. So my name is Aga Abbas. I'm again partner manager here at Cin7. So yeah, we just basically what Cin7 is, and I'll just share my few slides with you as well soon. So Cin7 basically is a cloud-based omni-channel inventory management solution, right? There are different sort of, it kind of factors into like what sort of businesses that we actually cater to. So different sectors, different markets. It's morely geared towards like SME businesses, basically. You could be anywhere in the world actually running a business online. You could have bricks and mortar stores, for example. You sell to big box retailers, let's say, like David Jones, Bunnings, Walmart, and so on. You could be selling on marketplaces as well. So Cin7 basically centralizes your whole operations in terms of how you manage your stock, your inventory, your purchasing, and your selling, basically. And that is what, in a nutshell, what Cin7 does. It is a cloud-based system, so no hardware needed or anything like that. We set it up remotely. It's done, everything is done online and cloud-based. So yeah, no big investment as opposed to big systems, for example. Quick and easy way to set up as well. It's off the shelf, so that's really good. Maybe 4 to 8 weeks of setting up time. On average, and you're up and running and actually using the system.
Now, so you mentioned you were sharing slides. I'm just going to highlight you're not sharing slides.
Yep, I'm just going to go and share my slides.
Just in case you thought you were sharing slides.
No, yeah. Can you see my slides now?
Now we can, yes.
Okay. Perfect, yeah. No worries. Sorry, let me just go to the first one. So again, what is Cin7? It used to be called Connected Inventory, actually. And Danny, who's the founder of the company, what he found was that there was a gap in the market, basically, where either customers were using legacy systems or NetSuites and SAPs, or really hardware-based systems, which are obviously you have to have a server, for example, to use in each location. It's getting very difficult to manage that for businesses. Again, this is just going back about 10, 11 years. So he set out to build a cloud-based system where people can access it, from comfort of their home, for example, wherever they're located. Doesn't matter. So Cin7 is a multi-channel, multi-location management solution. So over time, we have built quite a bit of a list of integrations, actually. For example, we have built integration into accounting apps like Xero, QuickBooks Online, QuickBooks Enterprise. We have built integrations into e-commerce platforms, 3PL warehouses, marketplaces like Amazon's and eBay's and David Jones, and also to EDIs as well. Cin7 is an ecosystem. So if you look at the graphic on the right side, that basically represents Cin7. Cin7 will be sitting in the middle, and around it, you can see the whole ecosystem that's built. System is built around, so you can connect to marketplaces. Again, if you want to do light manufacturing, that's perfectly fine. You do retailing, you do wholesaling. You want to connect to your 3PL warehouse, for example. You're sitting in Australia, you have a 3PL warehouse in the US. We can connect to that, and you can route orders that way as well. We've got a built-in B2B portal, which basically, if the customers have wholesale clients, they can place orders through that as well. We've got a built-in point of sale system as well, and a WMS system as well. It is out-of-the-box solution. So there's, again, as I mentioned, not a long time to set it up, and it's pretty much off the shelf. It is configurable. So if customers need to do basically some sort of tweaking, we can do that depending on their workflows. A little bit of history about Cin7, as I mentioned. We started back 10, 11 years. We are a Kiwi-based company. Now we have a Denver office as well. So that's our a head office as well. And over the years, you can see quite a bit of a growth within the company. We're sitting in 2021. More than 270 employees. We have built 600 plus integrations. We have 2 other brands as well, Deer Systems and Order Hive as well. But today, particularly, I'm just going to be focusing on Cin7. Cin7 is a full service solution. What does that mean? We can do like selling, of course, the onboarding of the customer, implementing it, the system for them, and obviously all the way through the support as well. So support channels are available for the customers to access. Now, how does it help the customer? Obviously, that's a big question, right? Where do we sit in and how do we help the customers? So the overarching notion of Cin7 is that we want to empower product sellers to thrive. So they can be doing business online, they can be doing business on the ground, for example, they could be wholesaling, they could be retailing. Cin7 will enable them to do that actually through a cloud-based system. They can add new channels and locations quickly. What does that mean? They can add, for example, if they have multiple Shopify connections, like e-commerce platforms, they could have a multiple Amazon channels, let's say, region-wise, Europe, America, Australia, and so on. We can add those as well. And if they have bricks and mortar stores or warehouses, they can add those as well and just continue to basically scale up their business as obviously the system, it will be scaling as per their needs. Cin7 gives them full visibility and automation around their workflows. What does that mean? Again, they'll be managing the purchasing, their selling, for example, of their sales orders, their stock, their order management. If they do any manufacturing, sort of light manufacturing, they can do that as well within Cin7. So it's kind of really a whole ecosystem that's built around it. And one big thing is that we do offer like multi-entity setups. What does that mean? If a group has multiple companies underneath, for example, different legal entities, and if they all use Cin7, we can support that sort of a setup as well, where they can actually interact within each other, sell and purchase among the different entities. That's perfectly fine. What sort of markets do we target? Like these are just some of them: fashion and apparel, beauty and cosmetics, furniture, electronics, food and beverage. These are basically the verticals that we normally obviously target. But again, if the customer is in a different industry, that's not to say that they cannot use Cin7. They can definitely, as long as obviously we can manage their workflows. Cin7 is not a heavy manufacturing system. It is mainly purely on omni-channel, online, basically a quick setup sort of a system, and they can use that. What it's not ideal for is like restaurants and bars. It's not really ideal for that because our system doesn't handle those sort of workflows. It's not an asset management system, so it's not like you want to keep track of your inventory, where it's at, and obviously people rent it out to you. So Cin7 is not built around that. And if you need like a weighing scale, for example, like if you go to a dairy or something like that, they need like a weighing scale there, or supermarkets. It's not really built for that. Some of the key features of Cin7, as I mentioned, it's again it's like a all-in-one solution: wholesale, retail. We've got like drop shipping, we got a WMS functionality, barcode labeling, branch transfers, built-in B2B Ecommerce. So it's got a built-in portal, so B2B portal. So if any wholesale orders are coming in, customers can take those orders as well. You can do contract manufacturing, light manufacturing. We've got like a reporting module as well. So all sorts of reports within Cin7. They're really useful and they can use that. Now what I'll do actually, just jump my screen to a different screen. Perfect. Can you see this dashboard here?
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So yeah, this is what Cin7 looks like when you actually log into the system. System will bring you here. And so this is the main dashboard where the customers have access to, or their top line numbers, for example. And this dashboard is divided into like 3 parts: sales, operations, insights. Again, very, very useful dashboard. Quite a lot of information here that they can actually use. For example, like top line numbers, what sort of active connections they have. Again, multiple connections, again, to e-commerces, to marketplaces, to EDIs, to 3PLs. They can be listed here and shown. They can track their sales by geolocation, for example. If they sell in multiple different countries, that's perfectly fine. We can show that as well. We can show sales by branches as well. They can have branches listed, and we can show how the sales are tracking. Sales by all of the branches, for example, that's also visible. Sales by channel, for example, if they have, sales coming from different channels and they want to be able to track that, that's perfectly fine as well. They want to see the total sales, that's also fine. And frequency can be set, for example, if you can see this as quarterly. If they want to show it monthly, weekly, that's perfectly available as well within the settings. They want to see the latest sales orders that have come in. Any customers no longer buying from them, that's also visible. Top spending customers, stock aging, top selling products and expired codes, anything, and as well. Now, obviously, this is configurable. If the customer doesn't want to see anything, they can turn it off in the settings page. That's not an issue at all. The second tab is operations. Again, just a bit more charts and graphs, but from perspective of what's needed to be taken care of in the immediate future from them. For example, orders exceeding estimated time of delivery, sales by category on the left-hand side. They can track that. Sales by channel, what's been dispatched, let's say. Understock products and also overstock products can also be displayed on this chart. Third tab shows basically is like got a fancy name for it, inventory success quadrant. What this basically does is if you want to be able to track how your suppliers are performing for you, let's say, or how your branches are performing, your product ranges are performing, let's say, or your channels are performing, and what sort of kind of ROI are you actually, GP margins that you're generating from them, right? You want to be able to see that offhand and really quickly. So you can do that through this feature here. So if you look on the right-hand side, it says retail branches, let's say. Let me just select July here, and let me just go to suppliers. So if you got multiple suppliers, this is the August data that you're looking at. You can see on the right-hand side that you see your list of suppliers, let's say, your total sales that have been generated in that month, what GP margins you're generating, and average stock days against that supplier. And actually, you can change that to the slider here, and you can see the pointers underneath moving. Pretty unique, pretty useful, actually, for the business owner, and just have that in-depth analysis. So that's basically the dashboard in Cin7. It's got a lot of other modules. I'll just go over some key features of Cin7. So it's got a CRM module as well. It's not a full-blown CRM within Cin7. It's basically to house your supplier information, your customer information, and also when you set up your branches, they will be listed here, actually. It doesn't do, Cin7 CRM doesn't do marketing for you, but it basically does a lot of other functions that you need to do to make sure that your business processes are, you're able to manage them smoothly. So let me just show you a quick example of let's say a setup of a customer profile. So if I have a customer, let's say it's called Wayne Enterprises, this is what the customer profile will look like within Cin7. The company information, their first name, last name, let's say, the contact details, pretty standard stuff there. You can mark them as a customer or supplier, of course. That's one way to identify if a contact is a customer or supplier. Now, Cin7 does have pricing tiers. We can go up to maybe 25, 30 pricing tiers across. What this means is if you can mark this customer, let's say a retail or a wholesale customer, and basically offer them different pricing based on that pricing tier, actually. And you can also actually offer them in multiple currencies as well. That's also possible. We can do parent billing as well. For example, this is the account section where you actually come in and mark the relevant fields against that particular customer. Let's say, like what your payment terms are for that customer, any alternate GL accounts, that's what Cin7 handles. So if you have, for example, different revenues and different brands, and you want to capture the different and push those into zero, we can do that as well. Tax numbers, tax statuses, you can have credit limits against the customer as well, put their account on hold as well. Their latest orders will be displayed on the right-hand side here in the middle section here. So you can see their middle, all of the orders that have come through as well. Delivery address, billing address as well. Yep. So that's basically what the profile looks like. You can have like any callback dates, leave any notes against the customer as well. You can classify them in certain groups if you like. Assign a sales rep, let's say, a default branch as well. This really helps. Now, this is again a profile, a basic profile, what it will look like. If it's a supplier, obviously you just mark them as a supplier and just fill in the relevant field. So this is the CRM side of things. Next one I want to show you is the products module. This is where you come in and actually create your products in Cin7. So let me just show you a quick example here, let's say. So for example, I have a product called cookies. Obviously, and then you have multiple ways of actually tracking that item within your inventory in Cin7. So let's say you want to control this as a batch item, you can do that. There's another method of doing it which is first in, first out. And also if you have serialized items, you can actually track that as well. And if it's like a, for example, like a labor cost or anything like that, you can actually mark that as a non-stock item as well. You can enter in the preferred supplier against that product. Style code will be something like, for example, like a SKU code that businesses use actually. That's the way to basically identify the product, the unique ID, which basically also maps to like e-commerce platforms and so on. You can mark the order type as normal order or kit item. So Cin7 does handle bundling or kitting of the items as well. So you can do that. We do handle like limited, if you want to use any of the other options, you can like purchase to order, made to order, limited stock, drop ship, and so on. On the right hand side, you can see the list of channels that you're actually using, and you can actually tick which one you want this the product information to actually move into. So you can actually do that. For example, if you're using multiple Amazons, so you can Amazon 1, Amazon 2, so you can actually pick and choose which one you want to use and put this product information into actually. There are other fields like dimensions, for example, when you sell your wholesale portal, for example, like a B2B portal, if this is a wholesale product, you can set that up here as well. Like you can upload up to 3 images per product as well. Product description can go here. You can create tags in Cin7 as well. You can do that. And also you can run a product-based, product-specific promotions as well in Cin7. There are different types of promotions that you can use. So you have that available. You can set how much of that particular item using, discount items, for example, how much percentage you want to discount. You can have date ranges. You want to run, for example, a campaign against for that particular product. You can do that as well. Cin7 does handle options as well. So for example, if you have multiple options of a product, you can do that in Cin7. And also we do handle units of measure as well, for example. So if you have, for example, for this one, this is one cookie that we are looking at. And if you sell in cartons or in boxes, so you basically will set them up as such, like on a different line item. For example, you've got 1,200 cookies in a pallet, you've got 60 cookies or 60, for example, boxes of cookies in a carton. So you can actually do that. And Cin7 will be able to track your inventory that way as well. Underneath that, you'll have specific pricing for each of these line items here. So depending on as I mentioned, we have pricing tiers depending on what price you want to offer. So you can mention the pricing here as well and the costing as well for each of those items. So one of the unique things about Cin7 is that we do precise landed cost, or we call accurate landed cost, as opposed to the average costing. So basically, you're able to actually factor in your customs duties and your freight costs as well into your purchasing, because purchasing will be done through Cin7. The green columns are your cost columns against that item. Red one is just your special pricing. And the blue ones are your pricing tiers. Now, this is just names that we have used for demo purposes, but these are changeable, so that's perfectly fine. You have visibility into virtual stock. So if it's a kit item, you're actually able to see that as well. Incoming stock would be like your, for example, any items that are on the way here from your supplier. Holding stock, like your branch-to-branch transfer, or anything, for example, like a damaged items. Cin7 will itemize your stock on hand actually at a branch level. So for example, just to give you a quick glance here, you're able to actually see at a branch level, let's say, So this is my London branch. This is my Auckland branch. Cin7 will break that down at a granular level. Be able to see what stock is sitting there, how much of that item is, what your stock control, what is your last landed cost against that item, purchase order reference number, any holding zones and bins that you've identified for that product, where they're located in your particular warehouse, and if it's in stock or not. So it really gives you that granular visibility. We have another function called available now. The easy way to explain that is basically stock on hand number minus the open sales orders. So if you have any open sales orders that are sitting there, but the items are still actually physically sitting in your location, they will be deducted from available now function. So you basically go by this when you're actually selling the product. So that's basically the products module. Next is the purchasing module. As I mentioned, you do all your purchasing through Cin7. So you'll be raising your purchase orders through Cin7, send it off to your supplier. And once you bring in the stock, basically, you receive in the item, mark the purchase order as complete, and then it's actually ready to be pushed into Xero. So you wouldn't be using Xero or QuickBooks for your purchasing or your selling, nor for your inventory management. So for example, if I just go in and create like a new purchase order, and I say this is from my cash supplier, I will come in. Cin7 will pull up all of that information. This is a searchable field. You can leave any internal comments and delivery instructions as well. And you can actually just go in and start filling in the item, the line item here, basically. Once that's done, you add the line item. You just want to make sure how much of that quantity you want to order. You can see the stock available, what's incoming, what's stock on hand, what is your stock control as well. You can see the cost and your pricing as well here on the right-hand side. You see a column that says quantity received, and it says fully received and invoice date and invoice number. So if I just leave it at this stage and not fill in these three fields and quantity received, and if I just approve it, this will basically create the purchase order for me, like an open purchase order. And I go into an admin screen, and within Cin7, we have an email template actually, and you send it off to your supplier with an invoice actually link as well. And once you receive in the stock, you can come back into the purchase order actually and complete the purchasing and receiving the stock. So once you do that, you just go in, and then you can say, okay, it's my, once you go into quantity received, you can see what stock movement it is. You can save it. Yep. And put the fully receiving date, let's say, invoice date, for example, invoice number is 12345, and you mark it approved. Now, once I mark it approved, this will actually add my quantity, my stock on hand quantity into this product in the products module and my stock on hand. So once this is done, now this creates a closed, obviously a completed purchase order, and now it's actually ready to be pushed into your accounting or Xero, for example. Same thing for the sales orders. Once you actually go in, you can create a sales order as well. You follow the same procedure, obviously, once you sales order. Let me just show you quickly a sales order here. You actually, once your sales order, as I mentioned, Cin7 will basically take all the sales orders from your e-commerce platforms, your marketplaces, your 3PL EDIs. When those come in, you'll have the visibility here on the sales order listing page. On the right-hand side, you can see a channel column here. This shows basically where the sales order is actually originating from. Backend basically means that somebody created manually within Cin7. If it's coming through POS, let's say, point of sale, if it's coming through a B2B portal within Cin7, that's also possible. And if it's coming through Shopify, if it's coming through Amazon, so you have that visibility. And you can see who the customer is, what pricing tier basically they're on. And you can see the total price of that particular sales order and the sales order reference number, obviously here. And you can actually go in and complete the sales order there. So if I just give you an example here, a simple one. So I load up my customer, let's say. I'm just creating this manually, of course. Again, internal comments, any delivery instructions against that customer if you like. You can load up the item here as well. Let's say if I'm just selling the sofa again. You can search through this item list. It will load up the items and you can select which ones you want. Again, it shows you the stock, what's available, what's incoming, and so on, and the quantity dispatch items and the pricing on the right-hand side. Now, again, this one, sales orders got a fully dispatched date and invoice date. So once you actually complete fully dispatched date, invoice date, and quantity dispatch, again, this marks the sales order as complete, and it basically shows up on your Xero dashboard, which I'll be showing very shortly, and then it's ready to be pushed into Xero as well. And just to give you an example of that. So within Cin7, once you connect to your Xero or QuickBooks, this is what Xero dashboard will look like. Basically, it will show all of your sales invoices, your purchase invoices, any adjustments, any calls, discrepancies, etc. And underneath, you can see the subheadings, customers, invoices, credit notes as well. You can take bulk actions, for example. So once your invoices are all in here, and if you want to push everything into your accounting, all you really need to do at the end of the day is click on this button which says sync all. It will push everything. You can take individual actions as well. So if you want to select which invoices you want to send, you can do that as well. Pick and choose that. And also from this menu as well, if you just want to upload the customer information, just the invoices, for example, just the suppliers, invoices and COGS and so on. So really easy, basically really streamlines this process for the customer. So they wouldn't really, the only reason they will basically use Xero is for bank payments and for reconciliation purposes. Michelle, you can correct me if I'm wrong on that. But that's pretty much what they will be using for. So for all the other actions, inventory, their invoices, stock management, everything else will be maintained in Cin7. So again, just very, very centralized operations there. We do manage 3PL. So if we have customers using a 3PL connection, for example, we can manage that as well. We can build those connections. New ones as well. Same thing for the EDIs. So if they sell to a big box retailer, we can manage that as well. And we have in-house teams actually to do that. So we don't outsource that work at all. So it's really one point of contact, very centralized operations, and obviously easy to manage in terms of the connections that we build. We do have a production module as well. So if a customer is doing like a light manufacturing, they want to create bombs or kits of those items. Cin7 can go up to like 2 to 3 levels of bombs, nested bombs within the system. So again, we just call it like a light manufacturing functionality. So that's what it caters to basically. And they can go, if, for example, if you have you're selling a baseball kit, like you've got a bat, you've got a ball, you want to bundle those up, you can do that as well in Cin7. Or if you do, for example, some light sort of bombs in terms of some like let's say food manufacturing, we can handle that as well. You can do stock taken through Cin7 as well. We've got a pause module as well. So if customers can use this as well. Out on the road, their sales reps, for example, in their bricks and mortar stores, this is what our pause actually looks like. We can take in the new sales, for example. We can handle laybys. You can create new quotes through pause as well. You can search the customer here, for example. If you have existing customers, you can say, okay, let me just pull them up. And Cin7 will pull up their information here. You can add, you can search through the product here as well. Let's say if I'm searching for t-shirts. You can do that. You can add them up here as you like. Add them to the cart. It will add it up. You got your categories here as well listed. You can do that. And once ready, they can take the payments as well. So that's what the pause actually looks like. And I just want to show you the B2B as well. So as I mentioned, Cin7 does have a B2B built-in B2B portal, where basically if a business is doing a lot of wholesaling, for example, and they want to be able to manage their orders from their wholesale customers, they can do that and take orders through, take advantage of the Cin7 B2B portal as well. So any orders that originate through this portal, basically, you will actually see them listed in the sales order listing page, as I showed you earlier. Once the order comes in, you can actually have the visibility again. It will show the channel. So this is what the Cin7 B2B actually looks like. You can have on the left-hand side, you can have different brands listed as well if you like. We can have categories and subcategories in Cin7. So Cin7 is able to manage that. Just refresh this. So it's got a card again, it's got a card, so they can actually directly place the items through here. Now you can offer different products and different pricing depending on the what type of customer you have and what your arrangement with them is. So they can actually log in and see the items and directly place the orders through here. So again, let's just take an example here. You can see, you can upload multiple images. We can handle variants as well through our portal, through B2B portal as well. You got the product information here on the left-hand side, the total is, let's say, and you can add the items very quickly. Once they do that, they can actually go jump into their cart and place the items, place the order. As you can see, the pricing on the right-hand side, the items. You can go to the checkout, the delivery address, freight options, preferred date of delivery, delivery instructions, and so on, and the billing information here as well. They can actually enter in the purchase order reference number here as well, and the payment method that can be selected. And they can place the orders through here. Once this is done, again, as I mentioned, this will come in here and you can manage the sales order through here. Last but not the least, I just want to show you a reporting module in Cin7. So as I mentioned, Cin7 has about 100 standard reports that are part of the ecosystem that are available with all the plans that we have. So it's nothing extra that they need to pay. We got different reports, point of sale reports, standard reports, sales reports for accounting, for production, for example, for purchasing, and so on. We can manage branch replenishment. We've got safety stock levels, optimum stock levels. They can do branch ordering, for example, reordering, branch replenishment. A lot of sales order reports on the right-hand side. You can see stock management, accounts admin, production, finance, and so on. Hopefully that gives you a bit of an idea what Cin7 actually is and what we're able to cover today.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Aga. Would you like to just briefly tell people how they can get in contact with you, and then I'll open up for questions?
Yep, sure. Thank you. Yeah, let me just share that again. Sorry. Yep. So we do have a partner program. So if you're interested for more information around that, this is our partner team actually. So Michelle Calkins, she's based in US in Denver office. She's the director of global partnerships. Rachel is the partner manager in the North American region, and I'm in the APAC and the EMEA region. So if you ever need to reach out, if you want to know more about our partnership program and about Cin7 in general, just feel free to reach out. And these are the contact details there.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you very much for that, Aga. Now, does anyone have any questions that they'd like to come on screen and ask, or want to pop in the chat area and I will ask them? So I know a few questions did come up in the chat area, but they're a bit more bespoke. But I will ask you, if someone comes to if someone comes to us, one of our clients comes to us and they're on TradeGecko. TradeGecko has sunsetted, so we need to do something with them. What is the process if we come to Cin7 with that?
Yeah, definitely. So we do, as I mentioned, so we do in-house implementation. So if you have TradeGecko customers and you believe that Cin7 could be a good fit for them, just feel free to reach out to me if you like, and I'll put you in touch with our sales team basically, and they'll walk them through their requirements, and they do like a normal actual product demo and discuss their requirements and offer any of these specials that we have for TradeGecko customers. I know we were running about like 3 months free and about 50% off the onboarding fee for them, but it's just going to be discussed on case-by-case basis. But that was basically the offer that we were running until August. It isn't still in place. It might change next month, but I'm not sure. But our sales team can actually update you on that. But again, yeah, we have had a lot of TradeGecko customers that have come to Cin7. We've been able to onboard them. So yeah, just feel free to reach out to me or our sales team, and we'll be more than happy to actually run you through the process as well.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for that. Look, it's a difficult situation, but we want to be able to support our customers. So it's good that you have that option there, and I'll be sure to tell them to use the AGA bonus code when they call up.
Feel free, definitely.
I'm also keen to know that you did mention light manufacturing. Can you expand on what you did mention it could handle light manufacturing? Yep. Can you expand on what is that? Is it putting together a gift basket, or is something a bit more than that?
Yeah, I mean, Cin7 handles more of standardized products, for example. So let's say if you have, this is actually a classic example like gift items, right? If a customer has a gift website and their customers can actually pick and choose what items they need. So Cin7 doesn't really handle that. Cin7 handles these standardized products, for example. And when it comes to BOMs or bill of materials, when we talk about light manufacturing, if the customer is able to put together their standardized products, let's say if they're manufacturing a cup, let's say like a glass of cup, for example, like that. Glass and cups got different parts to it. Let's say they got some metal part, for example, they got a handle. If they're able to actually put that together in a simple process and manufacture that, Cin7 will be able to handle that. If it gets into territory of, let's say, sort of like a complex stage of manufacturing where they need to go through 6, 7, 8 steps of BOMs, then it gets really difficult for Cin7 to actually manage that. The system just doesn't handle that well. But that's why I kept referring to as light manufacturing. Just easy way to understand is like 2 to max 3 levels of bill of materials, basically nested within each other. That's basically it. So for example, if you have cookies you're manufacturing, so you've got your items underneath, the main item, the cookie, and the ingredients underneath. So one of those ingredients could also have its own BOM, bill of material, which could be made up of different components. Yeah. So if you have like nested BOMs that way, so this, again, as I mentioned, just on the lighter side, up to 3 levels would be the
okay. That makes sense.
I'll just jump in just on an accounting side. Probably a good way to look at it is we don't actually track labor through Cin7. So that tends to be a pretty big divider. So if it's a quick assembly job and the company doesn't necessarily track labor per item, then it's appropriate. But if you track labor as part of your landed cost, then it's not usually a good fit.
That's a really good clarification there. I do know about midway through the presentation when you started talking about BOMs, I was a bit confused. I was like, oh, we've become a BOM manufacturer or inventory solution. But bill of materials, I should have known that. Does anyone else have any questions? I know one of the questions that came up was, do you push through from Cin7 attachments of the bills into Xero? And the response was no, to quickly respond to that. Are there any other questions from the community? Maybe I can get you to answer the question, which another one that did come in the chat area was, what is the typical accountant's or bookkeeper's access to the program?
Yeah, sure. So we definitely, we have a couple of avenues. So the more common one, easy way, is basically like a referral program that we have in place actually for our accountants and bookkeepers. It just works well with them because they just basically work with their customer, and if they think that Cin7 would be a good fit, they can refer them to us, and we handle the rest of the process. Referral partners don't really need to do any extra work on that side. We can do the selling part, for example, implementation support. Obviously, then you would just provide your services, and in return, obviously, there is definitely a compensation. We can talk about that if you need further information. Yeah, so once you register with us, you have access to like our partner portal, for example. We do like summits twice a year, partner summits twice a year. You can be a part of that. We do like case studies, for our customers as well, and with our partners. So yeah, there are various ways of engagement that we have with the partners. So I'll be more than happy to run you separately if you like. Just reach out to me and we can.
And okay, so I think I have a client who's using Cin7. What access do I have to the program?
Oh, you mean like within Cin7 itself, actually?
Yeah, like.
Oh, yeah.
like-
Okay. So yeah. So once you actually register partner with us, so you basically become a non-billable user, so you can have access to
Oh, okay. Okay.
the customer's account actually. So you can have. Sorry, so I thought you were referring to the partner
No,
program.
that's all right.
Yeah, you can have that access. That's perfectly fine as non-billable.
Excellent. Oh, well, that's really worth knowing and worth joining the partner program to get that access, just to sort of get that deeper understanding of what's going on with the business. Any other questions there? If not,
I do. I have a question.
hey Lee, I didn't even see you come in there. You must have snuck in.
I know that Cin7's taken over Deer, and I'm not sure where they're going to stay separate products. But what does Cin7 have over, or the benefit of Cin7 over Deer? What do you guys do better?
Tough question. Yeah. So what Cin7 is good at is, as I mentioned, is very like omni-channel retail side, connecting to, for example, Amazon's, and if customers selling on Amazon, e-commerce marketplaces, EDIs, 3PLs, for example, connecting to multiple, let's say, the Shopify e-commerce platforms. So really good at that, actually, as I mentioned. So again, very light on manufacturing, which is a very strong point of Deer. They really did really good with production. We are on the lighter on the production, but really good with like omni-channel online solution, basically, or bricks and mortar stores. Pretty much at par with Deer on the wholesale side. Actually, they've got a good B2B side as well, as so do we.
I think the main thing is that we're not necessarily direct competitors. That's why they've come under the Cin7 bracket. We've got very different offerings between the two of us, and depending on the business type that you've got, either may be a great solution for you. So it's not so much choose one or the other, it's just see which is going to be the best fit for your company.
Yeah, of course.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for that question, Lee. That was a great question. Any other questions there before I wrap up? Awesome. Thank you so much, Agar and Michelle, for joining us today and sharing all your knowledge with the accounting and bookkeeping community. I really appreciate it. Can you just briefly remind people how they can get in contact with you?
Yeah, sure. No worries. I can actually put that in the chat for the customer. Just give me a second.
Excellent. And I'll pop it into the...
I'll just get here.
Excellent. That's great. And I'll pop it onto the YouTube channel when I do that. So thank you very much.
No worries. Thank you so much for having us. Really appreciate it.